Hello, my gorgeous, amazing Aquarians. So, here we are, kicking into September. And thank goodness I say, because I've made it all the way through winter. And just as we hit spring, I come down with the lurgy that everybody else has had. And I've been so happy with not getting. Anyway, that is my spiel for tonight. So, as I said in the intro, I'm doing a row for the sun with 4 weeks. So this will be week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. The sun column shows your external, your spirit, the purpose, what you really want. And I'm reading it as the face we're showing the world. Because quite often we will wear a mask, and the moon is our subconscious, unconscious, things we kept hidden, things we don't like to show the world, our emotions, our deepest desires, and the truth behind the mask. The bottom row is advice from spirit. So let's get onto it. This is really, to me, it was quite flowing. The first week of September, you start off with the King of Wands, and normally I'd talk about what we're showing on the external versus the internal. But in these two cards, the internal is mirror image of the external. If you look at the cards carefully, they're both sitting on a throne. They're both quite relaxed. They're even sitting in the same pose. The King of Wands is holding a staff, and the Justice card, he's holding a staff as well. It is a perfect example of authenticity and what's the word? When you're exactly the same, what you see is what you get, basically. The same on the inside and the out. And in this situation, it's and if you look carefully, they're both kind of sitting back, looking directly ahead, as if they're saying, okay, I'm listening. Tell me what you've got to tell me, I'm listening. In the advice column is, ironically, the Messenger. And I'm picking up this first week of September, that you're really going to do a real self-assessment, not just of you, but of your environment, of what you're letting come in, what you're letting go of, who you really want to be. And the message is to weigh it up. Weigh up the pros and cons, have a real think about it, step out of ego. So when you're looking at balancing the scales of your life and your inner and outer life as well, then don't just listen to the messages of those people around you, because they all have their own ulterior motive. Listen to the messages that Spirit's trying to get through to you, and you will know what these are. They will resonate with you. It could be music, it could be a billboard, it could be something that stands out to you in the paper. It could be something someone says out of the blue. So yeah, just sit back and let the information come to you in the first week of September. because whoever this is for, you'll know what I'm getting at. There is something you're weighing up, something you kind of, it's like a life assessment is what I just got. You're doing a life assessment. I don't know how many people who are listening to this know about performance appraisals at work. You go in and you do a performance appraisal, and this is almost the feeling that I'm getting with you in week 1. It's not a performance appraisal, it's a life appraisal. Okay, so yeah. All right, good, got that through. Because in the second week, it's again almost mirroring the external to the internal, because in the sun position, you've got the high priest, which is the emperor, but in this particular one, it's almost the magician, because he's got the power that's sitting there. And in the moon position is the Queen of Cups. Now, she's not having a rant in this one. She's not overly emotional. She's not in reverse. She's calmly praying and asking Spirit for help. And with any magic or you know, in this case, the High Priest, you rely on Spirit and the elements you work with them in collaboration. And so in their own way, the sun and the moon position, the external, what you're showing the world, and the internal, you are stepping into yourself. You are manifesting the life you want. And I really like these because it shows that you are doing it in a really nice balanced way. On the sun side, you've got, you know, a very almost robust, strong, determined stance, and underneath it's a very gentle, calm, emotionally compassionate but balanced communion between you and Spirit. And the advice card that comes out for week 2 is the real you. And I think this month you're stepping into the real you. And this is what we talk about. This is the light path that we're all walking. And it's fascinating to watch and to be part of. And when you discover that this is really who you are and this is really what you want, it's almost like the mountain of armor and crap that you've been carrying just falls away, and you all of a sudden feel this real freedom. It's a real freedom. And right, this is it feels like the best gift you've ever been given. You almost can't believe it. So on the 3rd week, you're really stepping into your truth. Really, really starting to speak your truth. But if you look at this, it's the Princess of Swords. So it's a fairly young truth, fairly inexperienced in speaking your truth. But if you look at the colouring of what she's wearing, it's a very third eye, crown chakra colouring. So you really, by week 3, you're really raising your vibration into the truth of you. It's a real truth of you. And again, with the mirroring, the moon side coming up is the Empress, and it's almost the opposite of the previous week, because the Emperor, the High Priest, was in the Sun position, and the more subtle, quiet energy was in the Moon position, and the roles have reversed. Then you know, once you discover that it's okay to be the real you, you don't have to go all guns blazing out to the world. You can quietly speak it and be confident in it. However, it's going to be, this is where it gets a bit tricky. Underneath, you're still determined. Underneath, you know, it's a knowing. I always say, when people discover the real truths that the universe tries to tell us, it's a deep knowing, and you don't have to explain it, you don't have to validate it, you just know. And it's a peace that's so calm, and there's no doubting. Your mind doesn't even, it doesn't even play or try to come up with a doubt or a question. Once you hit that piece of information that is so true, you just know. And it's a beautiful place to be. And I think in week 3, that's you in your knowing. You're still a bit iffy on how to deal with it in the 3D, but deep down underneath, you have this deep knowing of who you are. And the advice for week 3 is heart and soul. And to me, this is that deep knowing. You know it. And to just sit in that, to be really comfortable and contented in that knowing. You don't have to rush and, you know, shout it from the rooftops. Just for September, just enjoy this new discovery of re-meeting yourself, because like there always is, in week 4 you're going to have a bit of a challenge with this progress. Now, what usually happens is that people who you take on a role, you wear a mask, you know, especially growing up, you could be the golden child, or you can be the rebel or the black sheep, or you could be the quiet one that never says anything. You take on a role, and then as you grow up, you expand that role and take on other roles. And so when you decide that you are not your role, you are not your mask, you are somebody completely different, the people around you might not like that so much, because they don't know how to handle it, and their inner fears and their need to control and their need for the status quo is seriously put into spin mode when something or someone around them changes. So once you start going through this, I tended to look at it with a sense of interest, curiosity, because if you go into it with an emotional attachment, the loss of the people who don't like it and they threaten and bribe and cajole you, it can be enough to pull you back into your mask and stop you from progressing. And that's okay. But it also helps to know that it's not you as a person who is now failing because you are changing. It's their issues that they are coming up against that they don't like. So bear that in mind, because in the Sun position for week 4 is the Ten of Cups. Now normally this is a beautiful card. It's like sunshine and lollipops and rainbows, and so there could be, you could be living in that externally. However, underneath in week 4, here he comes. And with the Devil, whenever the Devil card comes up, I call him the liar. He's a liar. And the Devil represents codependence, narcissism, addiction, attachment, anything to excess. And he is a liar because underneath everything that he represents is fear. It's all fear-based. And so what happens, and it happens to us all, and it still happens even after you've been learning this stuff for a long time, that when you start to change, he will rear his ugly head regularly. And he'll whisper in your ear and he'll lie to you. Who do you think you are? You can't do this. Are you're not believing all that crap that person fed you, or you're not believing you're that good, are you? You're not believing you deserve this, are you? You've got it pretty good. You've got it all good. What are you going to do and changing? That's the Devil. Because love would never speak to you like that. They would say, we have you, we support you, we are here to not only encourage you, but help you walk this path. And we will be here. We are here all the time for you, because you are worthy, because you are enough, and because you are beautiful just as you are. The advice for this week is Magdalene. And most of you will know about Mary Magdalene and how she was shunned by society because she was a scarlet woman. And Jesus accepted her, and through that acceptance, she then stepped into who she really was, without the labels and the slurs and the bullshit opinions of others that she believed and that dragged her down. By being fully seen and accepted for who she was, she stepped into her true self. So the advice is, ignore your fears, because they're under the surface, and they will, the sun will come out and shine on that, and it will disappear. Stick to it. Don't let that chain you to what you believe you were based on other people's opinions and labels that you were given. Stick to your guns. Go, look, sail on to the future and stand tall. Look at her go. I mean, really, seriously. She just pushes him out of the way. So, my little water bearers, I'm finishing all my readings for September with a Rebel card. So, if you don't like swear words or kind of in your face advice, I will not be offended if you tune out now. In fact, I'll be very grateful that you've listened this far. So, my loves, what can we have for Aquarius for the month of September? Give us a good one. Something we can giggle at. This is interesting because every other sign, and you're my second last, as I've been going in order, every other sign, something's just popped right out. Maybe you're not meant to have anything, my loves. Maybe the advice was the advice. Alright, I'll just ask one more time. Nope. Sorry, my darlings, but I don't want to give you one if Spirit's quite happy with what they've given you so far, and I think it's beautiful. I really do, especially when you look at these two cards together. It's a real, you got this. Anyway, I hope your September is lovely, and thank you for joining me, and hugs and kisses as always. Bye.